Oh wow, this is kind of an outdated topic concerning recent events. Spoiler alert: it's complete bullshit. But uh, Rio Reset Era and NeoGAF, those anti-Nintendo shills, the Pretendos, recently started a crusade, and by recently I mean a couple of weeks back, started a crusade against Xenoblade Chronicles DE, allegedly because it wasn't running at a high enough frame rate and resolution. It's not enough of a remake. It's not good enough. This is coming from the same people who defended shit like Final Fantasy VII-R, so you know not to take that seriously. And a lot of these people were saying that they canceled their pre-orders, but now that the game is out, you know, it has a higher Metacritic score than Final Fantasy VII-R. Fans are actually in love with it. Fans are completely in love with it. They're very, very happy with it. Like, I can't help but feel, I really can't help but feel this. The people complaining about the frame rate and the resolution had no interest in buying the game to begin with. This is part of where the whole Pretendo thing came from, is that, like, I kept observing these kinds of people, you know, people who clearly were not the target audience for these Nintendo games, coming in and making these insane demands, like regarding, like, you know, the hardware and the software and the controllers and, like, the memory format, like cartridges versus discs. It's just these really bizarre, like, asinine sort of complaints, right? And resolution is definitely one of those. I don't believe. I've made it very, very, very clear that I don't think that the people who complain about this stuff are actually all that invested in the video games, right? Like, they don't actually care about video games as a whole. Like, it really does feel at this point that the people complaining are just trying to find reasons to attack and shit on Nintendo by any means necessary. You know what I mean? Like the PC Master Race people who have no games to play and thus try to justify us pirating and stealing Nintendos. You have, like, the PlayStation fanboys. You have all these, like, groups and, like, people with their own, like, agendas and motivations. It just needs to be condemned more often. And I do think that, like, Xenoblade Chronicles DE is going to be successful. It has a pretty high Metacritic score. I think fans are happy with it. I'm sure people are going to pick it up. I'm sure it's going to get some new fans. Maybe. I'm sure it's going to do fairly well for itself. But these people desperately try to ruin that for everyone. They tried creating this narrative that the remake was lazy, that it was uninspired, that they weren't that Nintendo wasn't getting it to run properly, that the Switch needed to be more powerful. They need to have a Switch Pro, guys. It all just ties into each other, into this, like, mangle of this, like, conglomerate of complete bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, why can't you just buy and enjoy the video game on your Nintendo Switch? I don't understand why there always has to be, like, some kind of crazy gamer movement, right? Like, I've seen people talk about, like, censorship all the time when it comes to Nintendo products. Never the Sony products, but they always talk about boycotting Nintendo and their products. It's just, no, it's ridiculous. It really, really is. But I'll be keeping an eye on this. I'll be looking out for you guys. I will be talking about this stuff as it comes up going forward. I am really, really eager for the Switch to continue dominating in 2020 and beyond.